everyone, it's me, Elephant So Tasty, and I'm back again in my hot apartment room that I can't give you a tour of yet with my fan on, so it's probably gonna have a little bit of background noise, so sorry about that. But I didn't really announce that I was making this video, so I bet it's a little bit of a surprise to some of you guys. But yes, I am here today to talk about and somewhat analyze the Adam character short. And I know a lot of people have probably already done this, but I really haven't watched any YouTubers' analysis of the character short. So all this stuff I'm talking about is stuff that came from my own head. I'm not taking anyone's ideas, and if my ideas are the same as someone else, then that's pure coincidence. Great minds think alike, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. These are all stuff I came up with on my own in the last hour. I spent an hour on this script. And you know, I'm probably not going to be as hard on Adam as some other people would be. I know tons of people in the RWBY fandom just think Adam is a pure scumbag, don't trust literally anything he says, blah blah blah. But you know, I think there's some stuff we need to understand about him, and so I'm just here to kind of talk about that today. So I might not be as hard on him as some others would be, but I hope you're somewhat open-minded and will listen to what I have to say. So I'm just going to go through this chronologically in terms of the character short, and I'm assuming the character short was chronological anyway. So let's just get right into it. Obviously we started off with some faunists who work at a dust mine in what looks like Haven. It's interesting because now we know that at least most faunists aren't going to be allowed in the finer jobs of the dust processing and dust selling, whatever you want to call it. So that is kind of a more subtle form of the discrimination if you're not taking into account the blatant racism saying you guys were putting you in the mines because fuck you, whatever. Adam shows up obviously and he says that it's time we stood up for ourselves. So for me this line is kind of interesting. I don't know if I'm just looking too much into it because I feel like it might be possibly implying that Adam has a history with working for dust mines, because it would make the line go more deep than just him talking to faunists saying it's time we faunists stood up for ourselves. I don't know, I'm probably looking too much into that, but that's just my thoughts on the matter. But then I have a question, how did Adam know that that group of faunists was going to be there to break in unless he knew them previously, possibly knew them from working? The faunists there are surprised that Adam showed up, I think. So Adam had to know they were going to be there somehow, and I don't know how he could have done that if he didn't know them somehow. I don't know. And that the faunists there are kind of casual with talking to him. One of them says, "What's with the custom mask?" Instead of, if it was someone you didn't really know, you'd be like, "Why are you wearing that?" I don't know how to articulate these things, but hopefully you guys know what I'm talking about. It just feels like there is some type of previously established relationship between the four faunists who were trying to break in and Adam. So obviously this is also the start of using the Grimm masks. Adam says we should make sure they never forget what we looked like. So that type of line is clearly some line that down the road a lot of faunists would think, oh, that's so inspiring, and I'm sure it really inspired only those four faunists who were there, because obviously they didn't know that any of the faunists around were wearing a custom mask. And there might be some history that would kind of disprove what I'm trying to say here, but I'm saying if Adam was the very first person to do the mask thing, then him coming to help save their mission and then saying this inspirational line and having this inspirational symbolic thing that he's wearing, that's just how you get people to follow you, really. That's what I think. So I bet those faunists were obviously clearly inspired and then went on to be like, hey, Adam did this really cool thing for us, he has this cool mask, he said all this stuff about how we need the humans to never forget what we look like, we want to be scary and threatening. So I really think that's what kind of went on, and that's how the masks started spreading. And then obviously there's that line that we compared to the ending that says it's time we got what we deserved. I'll talk more about that later. And then we have the scene where they're fighting in the forest with the truck and blah 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 blah. Gira's there, Ilya's there. The masks have obviously spread because all those White Fang members, all the grunts or whatever, had their masks on. So it's not clear what the timeline is here, how much time elapses between scenes. But honestly, I don't think it's that far forward from the first scene where they're at the dust processing plant. Because I think the mask would have spread fairly quickly once after that one night. So Gira's obviously the leader of the White Fang here. When he doesn't congratulate Adam for saving his life, he's not grateful that his life was saved because it killed a human in the process. That is definitely when the White Fang really start to lose trust in him, if nothing like that had happened before. And then I also really like this scene because we just get some good lines regarding like discrimination against the faunus, like, well, you animals came to the wrong town, or whatever that one douchebag says. The times we see the humans versus the faunus in this short, it's more faunus discrimination, which was a big complaint from the fandom in the past. Is like some of the most discrimination we got was that one sign that said no faunus. So I really hope Rooster Teeth starts putting more of the faunus discrimination into the show, because this was a really good opportunity for them to show it, and I'm glad they did, and I really liked what they did with it. Also, the fight choreography with Adam was really cool in this scene, and the rest of the character short. I really like how he utilizes shooting the blade from the scabbard, and his weapon's called like Wilt and Blush, so he shoots Wilt from Blush, or something like that. I'm not into the crazy, like, super details of RWBY, really, but I really like what they're doing with his weapon, especially when he, like, jumps up and, like, kicks the sword. Like, that's super rad. Like, I've never seen that before. And actually, Adam uses his legs a lot in fairly unique ways that I've seen, so I really like that fight choreography, and I hope we get more of that in Volume 6. I personally think the way Adam killed the human was a bit violent, and Adam probably could have gotten over to Gira in time, considering how fast these anime characters move. But if you watch it, like, the guy with the gun is getting pretty close to Gira. He's already shot one shot. Like, I guess he's a terrible shot, but Gira's not really, like, totally behind the truck. So in one shot, Gira could be dead, obviously, because his aura was gone. So yeah, just considering Gira had no aura left, like, that's really the main factor here for me. I think Adam really truly believed what he did, killing that human in that way, was right. And I agree with him and Sienna Khan, because us three, we agree. He was just being loyal and protective of the person he worked under, the person who led the organization he was giving his life for. And I think that's actually something really noble, and obviously, like I said, I think the way he killed the human was violent, and he probably could have rushed over and to subdue the human. That sounds weird to say, to subdue the human before he shot Gira, but I really can't say that Adam is super wrong here. And plus, Adam is genuinely surprised that he's being congratulated for what he did, which makes me really think that he was definitely not evil or had evil intentions at all until things continued to escalate. And, like, he's not grinning or smirking or whatever when he kills this human in this scene, as compared to when he kills the human guards in the raid on the Schnee Dust Company. There's obviously been some time passing between those two scenes, and character development too. And I just think a lot of it was Adam kept being congratulated for the things he did, and he just let the power and people liking him go to his head. I really think that's what it is, but in this scene with the tree and the forest, I cannot personally say that Adam was wrong, and Gira definitely should have been more grateful to Adam. Yes, the way Adam did it was a little violent and probably a little unnecessary, but him protecting Gira, actually, like, I agree with that. Like, Adam almost gets off scot-free for me in this scene because he was just protecting Gira. Oh, and then also, I just think Sienna Khan is absolutely gorgeous. Like, she might be evil White Fang. Like, someone left a comment on one of my videos that's like, why do people find Sienna Khan so pretty? Because she's evil. I'm sorry, she's just, like, really well character designed. I love her voice, her fighting style, like, that we see in the raid on the Schnee Dust Company is beautiful, and she's just hot. Like, I have a huge, like, girl crush. Anyway, so the next scene is when Blake and Adam are talking. So we aren't sure if that scene is directly after the scene we just saw. Like, we don't know if there's been maybe another White Fang mission between then and now, but I think whatever Adam is calling an accident is still technically a lie either way, whether it's based off the scene we just saw or something else. And that's because what happened in the previous scene was not an accident. Like I said, he was trying to protect his leader, he was being loyal, he made a split-second decision to protect someone important and someone he probably cared about and looked up to. And Adam knows that Blake is like Gira, as in, like, we shouldn't be totally violent to the humans, like, that's kind of bad, like, can we chill? But I think he also did not want to drive Blake away by just automatically saying, like, it wasn't an accident. I think that at this point, Adam still cared about Blake and wanted them to be partners or whatever. So I think he kind of called it an accident. I think he called it an accident because he didn't want to just outright push Blake away and really hurt her feelings. But since Blake asks how many more accidents are there going to be, we know that it's already started to happen. Like, a few missions have gone on when there have been humans killed on missions where Adam's there. So I really think that this is around the time where their relationship totally started to go south and, like, become manipulative and abusive. Like, obviously Adam is the manipulator and abuser in this situation. And that's especially because Adam talks down about Blake's parents in this scene, and based on his wording and Blake's reaction to what he says, I believe, like, that's the first time Adam's really said anything truly hurtful like that. And so I think, like, that is the starting point where Adam started to become manipulative and abusive, emotionally abusive, whatever. We don't know if there was, like, physical abuse or anything, but he was definitely, like, mentally, emotionally abusive. I originally bought Adam's explanation about why people are getting hurt on his missions, but then he adds on the bit about her parents, and it just makes him seem defensive and not wanting Blake to really blame him. He's just trying to cover his own ass, kind of. But then he apologizes and says he's scared, basically, to lose Blake. If we saw more of their relationship, we could for sure start setting up a timeline of their relationship and, like, the development of the abusiveness of it. And because we would see Adam upsetting Blake, apologizing for it, being seemingly sincere, but then just going off and doing it again and again, and just repeating the cycle of him doing something bad, Blake being upset, he apologizes for it, but then it just happens again. So personally, based on, like, their interactions in this scene, I'm no psychologist or whatever, but I believe that was really the start of the abusiveness of Adam being manipulative. And as an end note, I do think that Adam sounds more sincere than evil when he said he still has Blake. And honestly, like, the voice acting for Adam has always been just a little iffy for me, so if there's a flat line, it's hard for me to tell if that line was supposed to be flat because of maybe Adam's not being sincere, or maybe it's just because the voice actor didn't really put a lot of levels into it. I'm not complaining about the voice acting, it just makes me a little unsure about Adam's emotions. But I do think Adam sounded sincere when he said, like, oh, I'm glad I've still got you, but then he realized Blake didn't leave when he kept upsetting her, and that's, like, the whole part of the abuse thing. This next scene is the raid on the Schnee Dust Company, and I just, like, I can't get over Sienna Khan. Like, why is she dead? I'm pissed off. But Sienna's weapon and fighting style is just so cool. Like, she's incredibly hot, oh my god. Though, on another note, just like an animation thing, it's also a bit annoying to me that none of the main characters really get hurt by just, like, a barrage of bullets. Yeah, like, obviously Gira got hurt by that one gunshot in a few scenes ago, but when the robots are just, like, throwing bullets down the hallway, like, and Ilya just runs up and blocks two of them, that seems a little absurd to me. Oh, and I really like the new Lionized song by Jeff Williams. I really like it. It's about Adam, and I can't wait to, like, see the full lyrics and analyze them. But based on the lyrics I do know and how it sounds, I really like the song so far. And then also another thing that I wanted to note on this scene is that Adam is visibly grinning and smirking when he fights the human SDC guards, but not really at all when he's fighting the robots. You could argue in that one close-up shot he's smirking when he's fighting the robots, but it's definitely not as much as when he's fighting the humans. I think Blake's left him by the time they have the raid on the Schnee Dust Company. A significant amount of time has passed, so Adam has had more time to develop into full Adam mode, if you know what I'm talking about. When Adam says that everything I do is for the faunus, this is that thing that I talked about a minute ago where I can't tell if the voice acting is supposed to be flat because Adam's being disingenuous, or it's just because the voice acting doesn't have quite as many levels to it as it should. like showing more emotion, but just the line itself as it's presented to us in the character short sounds so disingenuous, because literally he's just like, everything I do is for the faunus. Like, I feel like that's almost exactly how he says it, and it just feels like a really rehearsed line, and it's the same when he says thank you to Sienna. And then I'm not sure if Sienna's line about Adam standing beside her at her throne was meant to have romantic tones or like sexual tones or anything, but I certainly thought it did when I first saw the character short at RTX. I totally read that as Sienna's totally into Adam, and then by this point Adam was probably thinking of being a high leader himself, especially because he just smirks instead of turning around and like thanking Sienna for that comment. Like, that's something only someone who with suspicious intentions would do. And then of course we got that line later when he's high leader, it's time I got what I deserved. It just shows the character development between it's time we got what we deserved and it's time I got what I deserved. So now he's just completely self-centered, whatever. Like, there's a lot of character development. I think Adam goes through a significant amount of changes in this character short, and I don't think he was this abusive, manipulative, power-hungry, murderous asshole in the beginning. I don't think so. I don't think Adam has always been like this. I don't. This is why I said I'm probably not going to be as hard on Adam as many people think other people should be. I think Adam was genuine and caring in the beginning. He cared about Blake, I do believe that, but once the power got to his head, he became, like, all that shitty stuff, and all for his own gain. And then of course Adam gets what he does deserve, which is a defeat at Haven, and he shouldn't be limping from a physical injury. Like, I know I've seen comments, people are like, why the hell is he limping? Like, nothing happened to him. But I think, like, obviously he just got bonked on the head or whatever, but I think he's just staggering because his mind is totally whirling. Like, it's never been like this for him. He's always just been going up and up and up, and suddenly he's just basically knocked from his pedestal, and he can't comprehend that he even lost. That's probably also why he dropped his mask, because he wasn't paying attention really, and he probably took it off in the first place because it was like irritating him. Like, you can't wear a mask all day and have it not really be irritating, I feel like. So I think the next time we see him though, like probably in RWBY Volume 6, I think he's going to be wearing some other type of mask. I don't think Rooster Teeth is really just going to jump in and show us a shot of Adam without anything on his face. I think there's going to be like more build up to it. Even though like they were pretending to do a lot of build up to showing his face in the character short, but I hope you guys know what I mean, because for some reason, whenever I stream on Twitch or make a YouTube video, I get extremely unarticulate. So I apologize for that. But the final thing I want to talk about, and like speaking of Adam's mask and his face, I think Adam has silver eyes, and I've thought this for a while. I officially said it at the Vitalcast panel at RTX. I've said it in like Twitter comments, YouTube comments, whatever. I think Adam has silver eyes, and there's several different reasons for that. I guess the most recent and relevant reason would be because Rooster Teeth really doesn't want us to see his face. But there's this huge Tumblr post, like this huge detailed Tumblr post out there somewhere. I'm sure if you Google like Adam Tara's silver eyes theory, I'm pretty sure it's gonna come up. It talks a lot about how there's a lot of symbolic connections between silver-eyed warriors and Adam. So it talks a lot about connections between Adam's appearance and some of his mannerisms, and even like his moon slice semblance, which we don't even really know about for sure. It just connects that to a lot of stuff about the moon, rose petals, and other things that have been relevant to the only other two silver-eyed warriors we know in the show, which is Summer and RWBY. So I think that's definitely where the whole Adam face reveal is going. And if it's not silver eyes, if it's just something like he's actually blind or something else, like he has a scar on his eyes, like I feel like that's going to be pretty lame. I know some people have said, oh, if he has silver eyes, like that'd be too obvious at this point, but I don't think so. Just because you call something doesn't mean it should be too obvious. But definitely after the character short, like, okay, I said I think Adam has silver eyes before the character short aired at the first RWBY panel. So I'm not just hopping on the bandwagon, but a lot of people are hopping on the bandwagon now. And like honestly, like the character short is really just solidifying my theory for me. So if it's anything else besides silver eyes, that's going to be pretty surprising to me. Alright, so that kind of wraps up my thoughts and analysis on the RWBY Volume 6 Adam character short. Thank you so much for watching this video. Definitely tell me what you thought about this. Was I too hard on Adam? Was I too soft on Adam? I think I was just the right amount of barely springy. I don't know, like I was trying to think of a word, I couldn't do it on the fly, but anyway, I think I treated Adam good. I really think he was like a good person in the beginning, and then it just all went to shit. What do you think is behind Adam's mask? Let me know in the comments. Yep, so I can't wait for RWBY Volume 6. It comes out in October, and I really hope we see more of Adam, and I really hope like the fight scenes ramp up. Like if they're anything like the fight scenes here in the Adam character short, I'll be much more pleased than I was with Volume 5. Yep, so that wraps up this video. Like I said probably a billion times before because I suck at outros, thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye bye!